When you try your best but you don't succeed. When you get what you want but not what you need. When you feel so tired but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. And the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
So I invite us now into a time of meditation. I'll offer a few words, and we'll follow that with a time of silence, and then sing together hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. May we sanctify this time of meditation by bringing ourselves into peace, setting aside the worries of today. They're not gone, only set aside for the moment, like a coat left at the coat check. Leave your worries there and come into this place of peace. And I invite you to turn your attention to a source of joy within you. Something which brings you or has brought you joy or ease or serenity. Perhaps it's a friend, a child, an elder, some activity, a hobby, a meeting. And wrap those feelings around you. Feelings that come to you from that source. Perhaps it's tasting a food or stroking someone's hair. A voice on the telephone or a letter in the mailbox. And I invite you to imagine saying thank you to that source in gratitude for the gift of joy or ease or serenity. And now envision your passing that feeling on to another through a look or a kind word or a compassionate act, or simply letting them shine. And feel what that feels like. Hold that for just a moment in your heart. All the stories Our reading has two words that you may not know. An amphora is an ancient Greek word for a shipping bottle for wine or oil, and these were often decorated with ridges and rings. And the Hopi tribe in modern-day Arizona have hundreds of years of expertise in making pottery, large pots that are decorated with intricate patterns. These are both examples of working with clay, and it's the subject of our poem by Marge Piercy. She writes, "I want to be with the people who submerge into the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row to pass the bags along, who stand in the line and haul in their places, who are not parlor generals or field deserters, but move in the common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands and crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums. But you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries out for water, and a person for work that is real." Okay, so I want to start this morning by teaching you a couple of words. A couple more words, actually, because I think I just taught you two of them. But they may be new to some of you, or they may be familiar with to a few of you, but for most of you, I bet it's going to be new. The first one is pericope. Can you say that? Pericope? You're shaking your head. Pericope. There we go. Nice and loud. Pericope. Very good. A pericope is a passage, usually in the Bible. It could be a story or a wise saying or a parable, but it's one complete thought. Like the story of the Good Samaritan. That's a pericope. Or just one of the 10 Commandments. Each one of those is their own little pericope. So a pericope can be 2 words long, or it can be a whole page. So Unitarian Universalist services are rather unique in the Protestant or even Christian world in that most churches have services on Sunday morning and they talk about a pericope, though they call them readings. And their readings are always from the Bible. As Unitarian Universalists, we're free to speak on any topic we want on Sunday morning. It could be a bit of poetry. It could be the Sunday comics, a popular movie, whatever and wherever we find inspiration. And my inspiration today is a ceramic tile that I saw on the wall of an Oakland, California subway station. Now, once we have a pericope, the next job is to do exegesis. Can you say that? Exegesis. That's with a G, not a J. Exegesis, not Jesus. Exegesis. Got it? An exegesis is a close reading with hopes of finding inspiration in the exegetical analysis of the pericope. Good. So I'm going to exegete a ceramic tile. So this particular ceramic tile indeed comes from Oakland, California. It was a hand-painted ceramic tile, one of many on a wall mural in an Oakland, California subway station. And there's this big set of tiles on the wall, and in the center there's a group of tiles that explain what it's all about. And I'll read you what the center tiles said. They say, Firestorm Community Mural Project. This mural is dedicated to the survivors of the 1991 Oakland Hills firestorm. Their stories expressed in over 2,000 handmade tiles reflect and pay tribute to the human spirit and its capacity to overcome tragedy and loss. And it's signed by the Office of Mayor, October 1994. And indeed, it was in October 1991 when the Oakland Hills burned. The Oakland firestorm was an incredibly fast-moving fire. It leveled part of the city in 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon. Many of the mural's tiles show things that were lost in the firestorm. A bicycle, a church building, a house. But the tile I selected was unique in that it offered us some advice. And there's a picture of the tile in your pink insert. It seems to be signed by someone named Marion Baldwin. And Marion's tile tells subway riders a deep truth. Always use your best china. The picture shows 6 place settings, and I imagine that those plates and goblets were a gift to Marion from someone. Perhaps they were wedding gifts. A gift that was carefully put away until some special occasion. And because it's part of the firestorm mural, I assume that the box of plates and glasses were lost when the Oakland Hills burned in 1991. You know, after large-scale tragedies, sadness remains for a long time. As part of my training for the Unitarian Universalist Trauma Response Ministry, we've learned that almost always with a community tragedy, there is an emotional trajectory that people go on, which includes fear and sadness and slow recovery. We can see it after 9/11. We can see it after the levee failures in New Orleans. And it can be seen after the Oakland, California firestorm. And anniversaries are the worst. Perhaps these tiles were created to express a grief on the 3rd anniversary, giving voice to their sadness. And I want to honor the emotions expressed in the mural. They were not, I wasn't there. I can't feel their emotions. But some of you may know this already. Shared tragedies have a way of making people rethink their lives and their purpose. And I'm only speculating that the prophet Marion has done this as well. Always use your best china. What do these words mean to you? Where does this tile take you? Well, when I first encountered this teaching, my thought went to my grandmother's Wedgwood plates. They were fine china plates made in Staffordshire, England, which I inherited from her and which are now stored in my basement. Until I started going to seminary, I would use them once a year on Thanksgiving, but now they're just there on a shelf. That was my first thoughts when reading Best China. But then I had to consider the words always use. Always. If I always use the Wedgwood, won't it fade and chip and not be worth as much? If I always use the Wedgwood, maybe someone will drop one, and my dozen plates will become a partial set. And it's really hard to get replacements for antique plates, I'll tell you that. Will it stop being my best china and turn into my everyday china? So I found myself wanting some relief. I wanted to bargain with the prophet. I wanted the words to be, use your best china more often. Because I wanted to be in control of this, I wanted to be able to pick and choose when it was appropriate. Maybe some of you are feeling that way. I think so. And maybe some of you have heard that phrase that's somewhere in the Bible, love your enemy. I know that I tend to want to take that little pericope and change it to tolerate your enemy. It's actually a well-known phenomenon in religion. Over generations, the really hard sayings and instructions get limited down, get softened, get made more palatable. But the ceramic tile's only from 1994. It hasn't had time to soften. So I guess whenever I have a guest, I should get out my best plates. Not the paper plates that I thought I was going to use for the pizza and hot dogs, but my best Wedgwood. And my best glassware, too. Not those Flintstone glasses that I collected back when I was eating a lot of jelly. And the best silverware that I've got, too. And you know why? Because my guest is worth it. It's basic hospitality. The teachings of the pastor, full of stories of hospitality. Any guest may be the Buddha. Any guest may be Elijah. Any guest may be an angel. Now, actually, I cheated. I wonder if any of you noticed. I modified the words of today's sacred text. It doesn't say, whenever you have a guest, use your best china. It says, always. So as I understand it, I've got this additional burden, which is that tonight's dinner of Kraft macaroni and cheese will be on Wedgwood. In this way, I have to treat myself as I would treat the Buddha or Elijah or an angel. Do you treat yourself that way? And if not, why not? Now, one of the cool things about exegesis is the opportunity to read a short passage from different points of view. For example, the Good Samaritan story. How many of you know the Good Samaritan story here? Okay, well, if you're not, you can just pick it up from what I'm going to say here. It can be seen from the point of view of the man who's laying half dead in the ditch. Right? What does the story mean to that person? How about the point of view of the Samaritan himself? What does it mean to him? Or her, actually, we don't know. The innkeeper who has to nurse the injured man back to health. Or even the point of view of the donkey, which is often glossed over, but probably very important to some of us, who has to bear this bleeding injured man to the inn from the road. And then there's the other points of view, which is the author, Jesus, and the audience. They each have their own point of view. So let's consider our pericope from several different points of view. We've already considered it from the point of view of the host. To use your best china when having guests. And we've mentioned the point of view from the guest. Do we treat ourselves as worthy of the best china? And then we talked a little bit about the possible motivations of the Prophet Marion and probably of the mayor of Oakland. Let us for a moment attempt to take the point of view of the china itself. Always use your best china. And here Marge Piercy really helps us out when she writes, Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums. This is reading number 567 in your hymnal, by the way, if you want to look up later. Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know that they were made to be used. The pitcher cries out for water, and a person for work that is real. By the way, how does that water pitcher that you inherited from Aunt Beatrice look up there on the top shelf? How do those Lennox plates feel, stacked, doing nothing? The pitcher cries out for water, and a person for work that is real. Always use your best china. Now, in the story from Emily Post, we find two groups of soldiers, the French and the Americans. The American group embodies the belief that war is hell. They see today as a day to be endured, and a meal as something that keeps them alive. It's much harder to imagine what it must have been like for the French soldiers. A slow and deadly firestorm was sweeping across their nation. Some of them may have already lost their homes and members of their families to the German occupation, all their possessions gone. And who knows how it's going to end? Which side will win? Will there be an armistice? Will they still be alive when the armistice is signed? But the Frenchmen see their meager rations as a means to celebrate today. They will use everything they have right now to celebrate civilization. Now, my struggle with the prophetic words of Marion Baldwin began for me when I missed the San Francisco-bound subway train and had 20 minutes to waste in the Oakland BART station. These words shape how I make decisions now. They take me out of myself and have taught me to see today as a day of celebration, not a day to be endured. So where do these words take you? You as individuals, you as the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lower Bucks. Always use your best china. How could that affect how you greet newcomers? How you decide on social justice projects? Do you use the equivalent of paper plates? Do you do something that's adequate? Or do you see that interaction as one not to be gotten done, but to be celebrated? Is everything you do a celebration? And do you go for the everyday plates and cups and saucers and let other ones languish in the back of the cabinet? Well, you know, Marge Piercy's poem has made it into our hymnal, but nobody quotes the prophet Marion Baldwin, that is, except me. The pericope, always use your best china, is not canonized in any of the major religions, East or West. And we as Unitarian Universalists have our tradition of keeping our distance from prophetic speech, at least until it's softened up a little bit, and we can maintain control over what happens. So what can a teaching like always use your best china do for us now, today, here, in our lives and in the lives of the world? What sort of beloved community happens when we open our china cabinets and open our hearts? What happens when not only do we offer others a seat at the welcome table? What happens when we are offered a seat at the welcome table? In fact, what happens when we realize that the welcome table is not something you can be offered? It is by its very nature available to everyone. Though men and women are forever trying to lock it away, to spread the word that it's exclusive. Sorry, closed for renovation. By invitation only. No shoes, no shirt, no welcome. Bring your best china out of the cardboard box in the basement. Bring your amphora out of the museum and fill it with wine. Set your finest things out on the welcome table today, for we do not know if the tide of war may shift and tomorrow we may be gone. The pitcher cries out for work that is real. To quote W.E.B. Du Bois, now is the accepted time, not tomorrow, not some more convenient time. It is today that we do our best work, not some future day or future year. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are the hours of work, and tomorrow comes the harvest and the playtime. Amen. Well, our closing hymn is one of the shortest ones in the hymnal, which doesn't mean that we're going to be over in a moment. It is From You I Receive, number 402. Have you folks sung 402? You know it? No excuses this time? Okay. So, it relates back to our reading about doing the work of the world, working in a row to pass the bags along, or passing buckets to put out a fire. Number 402. The words are simple, and you can probably put down your hymnals after the first time, because we're just going to repeat it maybe 6 times, I think, and you're going to change the accompaniment a little every time. It's a waltz. It's a waltz, I believe, 3/4, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And so you're allowed to move around a little bit, but we're going to sing it sort of meditatively. And if you want to sing it to someone else in the room, you are more than welcome to. Or you can sing it to someone who's not present. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing number 402, From You I Receive, and then remain standing for the closing words.
So I'll play it through one time. Feel free to join me on the second time through.
You Closing words from Laura Lynn Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world.
Please join in our final song together.